Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Karturajnaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam kritimaho dadau patana karanam Phalama shashvatam gati nirodhakam Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam Chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam Kaya vangmanah karyamuttamam Pujanam japas chintanam kramat Jagata ishadhi yukta sevanam Ashtamurti Deva Pujanam Uttamastava Duchamandata Chittajam Japa Dhyanamuttamam Ajya dharaya srotasa samam Sarala chintanam viralatah param Veda bhavanat sohamityasau Bhavanabhida pavani mata Bhava shunya sad bhava sustiti Bhavana balad bhakti ruttama Tale mana swastata kriya Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam Kartuhu ajnaya phalam prapyate Phalam, karma phalam. These verses are like sutras. You have to supply words and all that. Phalam, karma phalam, the result of karma. Karma is not just worldly action. Karma includes all Vaidika karma. And predominantly in the Vedanta Shastra, the karma, whenever the word is used, it is used in the sense of Vaidika karma. We must understand that. Even though it includes other karmas, other actions, but predominantly it is Vaidika karma that is mentioned. And when karma yoga, when they talk about, then also all the Vedika karmas are done for the purpose of antakarana shuddhi in order to gain moksha. And that is called karma yoga. And therefore, so understand here, the karma phalam, the result of karma. So any karma, including Vedic rituals, any karma, and he is going to define the different types of karma later. And all this karma produces phalam, result. And the karma result is called phalam for two reasons. One reason is that it fructifies. Karma fructifies. Sometimes not immediately, later. Like even you sow the seed, the result, the fruits from a tree, like a coconut or a mango. You are not going to reap the fruits immediately. You wait for some time. But it produces the result, phala. And similarly, the karma can produce result immediately, or it can produce result later. And therefore, it is called phalam. That is why karma phalam. The karma prayojana is called karma phalam. The karma karyam, the effect of karma, is called karma phalam because it can fructify later. Later in this life or in the next life too. And therefore, phalam iti uchyate. And also, phalgudaya liyate iti phalam. The word phalam itself has got a vitpatti, etymology. So that which is subject to get rotten, means that which is subject to perish, is called phalam. So phalam is perishable. They will say, whenever they send fruits, they will put on the box, perishable, rush. And in spite of all rushing, this perished inside. So perishable. So this perishable. So phalgudaya liyate iti phalam. So it is subject to easily perishing, subject to easy perishing. And therefore, it is called phalam, anitya. Similarly, it is karma phala, is anityam. It is not something permanent. So it is perishable. So your physical body is the karma phala. Your own body, now that you have, is karma phala. And it is anitya. It is perishable. And it proves that all the time. So it is perishable. And therefore, karma phalam, karmanaha phalam, karma phalam. This karma phalam, prapyate, is gained. Karma phalam, prapyate. So karma phalam is gained. It is a passive sentence. So karma phalam, prapyate. Karma phalam is gained. Okay. Then if it is labhyate, prapyate, and by what? By, he says, kartuhu ajnaya. Karta means the maker, the doer. Here, maker. The Lord is called Karta. Whether we use this word Karta to refer the Lord, the Christian missionaries use this in India. Kartave, every Jolwa. Kartave, Kartave. Karta means the creator, the maker. So the Karta here is the Lord, the maker, and the maker's law. Kartuhu means Shashti, the genitive case. Ajna means order. Order of the Lord, the maker. Look at this, all that we have been talking. Is here in one sentence. Kartuhu ajnaya. Tritiya. The third case. By the order of Ishvara, of the Lord. So by the order of the Lord. By the order of the Lord. The order here is the laws. Understand? The order is the order that obtains. It is not the order he commands. Every time you do an action, all right, grant him this. No. So it is the law. The law here is ajna. Therefore, kartuhu ajnaya phalam prapyate. This is a fact. The result of an action, whatever be the nature of action, religious or otherwise, the result of action is gained due to the order, by the order of Ishvara. Not for this action, let this be this result. There is an order. So for this action, this result. There is an order there. The cause-effect relationship. And therefore, so you cannot transgress that order. Now why should he say this? Because he wants to prove karma cannot produce the infinite. Why it cannot produce the infinite? Because infinite is not producible. If it is produced, it will be anityam. Therefore, a person who thinks that performing karma, Vaidika karma, I will gain moksha, he is only pipe dreaming. But Vaidika karma can give him, if he can give him result. And that result will be only karmanaha phalam. And so he can get heaven, etc., anything he can get karma phala. But he cannot get even antakarana shuddhi unless he has got that attitude. I want antakarana shuddhi. Or he has a value for dharma that can give him. Because he accepts Ishvara and therefore there is some devotion that can give him something. But at the same time, that moksha is to be chosen as a thing to be accomplished. Then your karma gains a certain dimension. It becomes something, it becomes a means for that moksha itself indirectly. And therefore, so karma will produce result. So that result cannot be the limitless. And the limitless is exactly everyone wants. Really, the freedom from limitation is seeking limitlessness. The seeking limitlessness alone makes this person eternally seeking. Because he seeks limitless, he wants to gain limitless. And limitlessness cannot be gained as the result of an action. Karma phala cannot be limitless. Why? Because karma is limited. When karma is limited, the result will be what? Limited. Therefore, limited karma will produce limited result. Now, as I am speaking, now suppose I want to speak all the words at the same time, so I want to finish it off quickly. Then I want to put all the words at the same time. Even this sentence, all the words at the same time. How will I say? How will all the words at the same time? How will I produce that? All the words at the same time, how? How will I produce all the words at the same time? So I cannot produce all the words at the same time. At a particular time, only a particular word can come out. And that is the problem here. That is the nature of karma, vagindriya. You have to hold the words and then get the meaning. This is one big problem in finding out the meaning of a sentence. And suppose that is the reason why in the semantics we say that you have to say the words not after words, word after word in a sentence, not after long time. Sannidhi becomes a very important thing. Today I say one word and day after tomorrow another word. It will be like singing a melody. So, sa ri ga pa da sa. So we heard that. Sa I say it now. Then after 1 or 2 minutes re. Then after another 3 minutes ga. So yeah, I won't get melody. Then what do you require? Sannidhi. That sannidhi is important. And therefore syntactical connection is possible in the listener's mind only when the words come successively and properly. And therefore, this is an important thing in sentence. That means at any given time, you can only say one word. Saying is an action, and you can say only one word. not all the words at the same time. It's not possible. It is true with reference to any action. So one step forward, you move one pace forward, not two paces, or backward you go, or sidewards you go only forward. Why? Karma phalam prapyate. How? Karma anusarena. In keeping with the karma alone, the result is accomplished. In this, one thing is, karma phala cannot be denied to you. For the karma that is done, your karma phala will not be denied to you, because it is Bhagavan's ajna. It is Lord Karta's ajna. It is Ishvara ajnaya, Kartuhu ajnaya, phalam prapyate. Here the karta should not be taken as a doer. The doer's command, the result is born. It is just the opposite you get. And therefore, karmanyeva adhikaraste. Karma phala hetu is Ishvara. And therefore, kartuhu ajnaya. So, karma phala hetohu Ishvarasya ajnaya, karma phalam prapyate. The result of an action is accomplished by the orders of Ishvara. By the order is better. By the order of Ishvara. One order. So this order includes also your past karmas. If there is such a thing as past karma, it should be included. And therefore, because the whole thing is in one order, we only don't see that. And only when you get the bad luck or good luck, then only you recognize. But otherwise you don't recognize. But then it is always the past karma also is included in the in your accomplishing the karma phala. And therefore, here, so a finite karma is finite. And a finite karma will produce a finite result. Anityam karma will produce anityam phalam. I don't say it doesn't produce, understand? It produces phalam, but anityam phalam. Anityam means what? Time bound. Therefore, time bound. So you do a particular time, particular place, a particular action, and it will produce a particular result. And that result will not be limitless. Therefore, anityam karma will produce anityam phalam. Suppose I do a lot of actions. Adhikasya adhikam phalam. A lot of karma I do. You will get what? A lot of results. And a lot of results. And every result is what? Anitya, time bound. And therefore, a lot of karma will produce a lot of anitya phala. You know what? So whether you have one mango getting rotten, or you have got one big pile of mangoes, and all of them get rotten. Understand? Perishable. If you don't use it, then it's gone. And therefore, anityam phalam. Even one by one, if you enjoy the result, naturally not together, one by one you enjoy the result, still it will be what? Anityam. And therefore, in order to produce the limitless result, you should produce a limitless action. And the limitless action you should produce. How will you produce a limitless action? Come on. Produce a limitless action. Not bound by time. Not directed towards a given thing. And it should be limitless. There should be no direction for the action. It should not be switching off, switching on. And that kind of action, no. It is limitless action. What is that action? Stay put. Don't blink. Understand? That is called limitless action. Stay put. Don't blink. That is a limitless action. Means what? No action. So no action alone can produce what? Limitlessness. That means it will not produce. Action produces. No action. No action can produce limitless. Means what? Limitless is never produced. If it is not produced, then then still you are seeking, and it is not produced. It cannot be produced. Okay? And still you are seeking limitlessness. Then how can you get that? How can you get that? Without producing, you should get. You should get it, at the same time you shouldn't produce it. How do you get it? Eh? You know what? Look at the steps nicely. It cannot be produced. I am seeking limitlessness. It is not going to be produced by action. And there is such a thing as limitlessness. If there is such a thing as limitlessness, then it should exist right now. It cannot be produced. It won't come. If it comes, it is anitya. If it doesn't come, it is there. It doesn't come and it is there. And if it is there, then I have to produce it still. How will I produce it? By knowing. Understand? Therefore, knowing is not acting. I tell you, knowing is not an action. The phala of a pramana is not the result of an action. Karma phalam is different from pramana phalam. The result of a pramana, a means of knowledge, is entirely different from the result produced by an action. See, when you know an object, that object is not produced by knowing, do you? You don't produce a result by knowing. If by knowing you can produce result, you should simply know what is $1 million. That's all. And knowing doesn't produce also. Now suppose you know something about devil. And you know, then means what? Right in front of you is devil. It is dangerous. In fact, knowing is not producing. Sometimes knowing produces. Like the key in your pocket. It produces the key. Why it produces the key? Because you were searching for it before. Your search comes to an end because the key is produced. The key is produced or introduced. It is not produced. Understand? You happen to see the key existence. Therefore, key is not produced by knowing. And sometimes it looks as though the key is gained. We use all these words. Praptihi, labhaha, siddhihi. All these words. Moksha siddhi, moksha prapti. This prapti is a very peculiar word of prapti, means gain. This gain by knowing is another type of gain. It is not by doing, it is just by knowing. Therefore, we should know one thing here. Knowing is not doing. We have to differentiate. And I had one in my class, one committed, what you call Catholic, very highly committed to his theology. And he looked at himself as a theologian and he's doing research and all that. And this guy, he can never accept that knowing is not doing. Because if he accepts that, then all the problem, he had to accept Vedanta. So he has to deny this. And therefore, he was having problem. That problem is another problem. It's not, I don't know, it is a refusal to think. And so knowing is not acting. Action is based on will. And knowing is not based on will. That is the difference. So action means kartum, akartum, anyatava kartum. That is the swatantriya. That is the freedom. That is the choice you have to do, not to do, etc. Based upon human will. And that is called karma. But whereas, that is an action. Really, that is an action. But whereas, here, knowing is not will-based. It is just pramana-based. The means of knowledge and the object is there, knowledge will take place. Understand? If it doesn't take place, somewhere there is a defect in knowing. In the knowing process, there is some defect. Either the lack of preparedness on the part of the knowing mind, or in the very means of knowledge there is some defect. And therefore, so either in the pramana there is a kopa, there is some kind of a defect is there, or where the knowledge has to take place, there in the adhikaritvam there can be a lack. And therefore, if there is somebody teaching, suppose somebody is teaching a given subject matter, but this man is teaching in German language or Chinese language, what will happen to you? Even Bengali is enough. Why should we cross the borders? So within our own borders, Bengali language, and in fact he is using all Sanskrit words. And, I don't want to attempt on this. And so this Sanskrit word he uses, but you don't know. Even if you know Sanskrit, you can't follow what that fellow says. Unless you also perhaps keep a rasagulla in your ears. Maybe it will work, I don't know. And so it is not going to work. So, Roshogulla. Different. All Sanskrit words. But they have their own way of saying them. And so, unless you have preparedness, that language samskara. So, Samskritam antakaranam. The language samskara means the orientation of the language is important. And therefore, you require to have the preparedness of mind, which is not an action either. And therefore, the means, in other words, one word we can say, the whole thing together is called a pramana. If the pramana is there, knowledge takes place if the object is there. And the knowledge is going to be as true as the object. Your willing has no role to play. Therefore, I can know, I need not know, this problem is not there. Whether if the means of knowledge is there, knowledge will take place. That's why if there is a dead rat somewhere around, and you will pick up the smell. And you can't give the nose an order, don't pick up the smell. The only best thing that you can do is get used to it. Like people get used to certain flavors, certain smell, etc. People get used to it, like the people like it. There is a cheese called a blue cheese. Cheese na terima? Cheese. You know what cheese is? So, there's about brahmachari, I don't know what cheese. Cheese is, once upon a time, it was milk, understand? So, what... that is a good time, that is a good definition of cheese. So what was once upon a time milk, that is cheese. So this cheese is something, this cheese like paneer, but this is a spoiled paneer. So this cheese and this cheese has got different smell. And so then there is a tolerable smell, then there is a little intolerable smell, but then it has got different smell. And the top of it is called blue cheese. And if you can like blue cheese, then you are definitely from a European stock. It's good. And therefore, hey, that means you have made it. Even though you are not from a European stock, you have made it. And therefore, what I say, now, if that cheese is anywhere around, your nose will pick up that smell. You better learn how to like it. Don't ask the nose, don't pick up the smell, it will. Why? That is why it is called a nose. It noses around. And therefore, so this is the nature of a sense organ. The nature of a pramana is to produce knowledge for you. It is meant for it. And therefore, knowing is not doing. Therefore, it doesn't produce a result. It, on the other hand, then what does it do? It only removes the ignorance of the object. Now you understand now? The existence of the object was not known to you. And therefore, pramana phalam is not really production of an object, but it is the removal of the ignorance of an existent thing. Whether it is of an object outside, or it is any fact about yourself, and psychological fact about yourself, or the basic fact about yourself, well, it is always a removal of ignorance alone is the pramana phala. Understand now? So since it is removal of ignorance and all that, simply we say, we have to understand the significance of it. Removal of ignorance means there is no production of the object. The object is existent, and the existent object alone is now produced for you, objectified by you, by the removal of ignorance. Therefore, it looks as though the pot comes into existence. Pot doesn't come into existence. Pot comes to light. Understand? Pot comes to light. So this pot coming to light is nothing but the removal of ignorance of pot. And therefore, so knowing is not producing. Knowing, therefore, is not doing. We should know. Therefore, if there is a limitlessness, if there is such a thing as limitless, let us use the word substantive. Limitless substantive, called Brahman. If there is such a thing as limitless Brahman, it will not be produced by action, but it can be produced by knowledge, which is not a production, which is only removal of ignorance. Understand now? And therefore, karma is different from jnanam. Karma is different from jnanam. The whole Veda talks about karma. And that also gives you knowledge of karma really. Knowledge of means and ends. Veda is not doing anything to you. It is a pramana grantha. And therefore it also gives you knowledge of means and ends. Various means and various ends. The whole karma kanda gives you knowledge of means and ends. Some of them you may be interested in. Some of them you may not be. Like a catalog. You know, a catalog, you buy a catalog of any big chain store or something catalog they give you. And now here we see this catalog of bookshops. Booksellers. They Motilal Banaras is that catalog. And you will read, there will be so many sections. Then your eyes will go where? Only those books that you want. Subject matter. Karma Kanda is catalog. It gives you knowledge of means and ends. and you choose some means for achieving certain ends. And therefore, when it talks about means and ends, it also talks about at the end, not means and ends. Means and end means following this, you will get a result. And that can be accomplished by karma. That is what it tells me. And then it tells me, finally, it talks about an end whose means is that very Vedanta, the very Veda, is the means. You look at this difference. First, it gives me knowledge of means and ends. And those ends I can accomplish only when I perform, I follow those means. Understand? This is one type of knowledge it gives me. There is also knowledge. It gives me knowledge of means for various ends. Putra kamena ejete, putra kameshtya, surga kamaha ejete, jodishto mene. Like this it gives me pashu kamaha ejete, the one who is pashu. Udbija ejete, pashu kamaha. So may he perform. So this particular what you call the yajna for gaining cattle, etc. So there are varieties are there. Okay. Now that is all knowledge you get. But the result you can hope to gain only when you perform the means. When you perform the means karma. When you follow the means, perform the karma. Now, listen to this. Again, the same Veda gives me knowledge. What is that knowledge? It says, Tattvam Asi. You are Brahman. Same Veda. The Veda that tells me about Agnihotradi karma, Swargadi phala, the result, Agnihotra, etc., the ritual, gives me knowledge unknown to me. Now the same Veda gives me one other thing, you are Brahman. And then feels. Veda feels it has done its job. You may feel that you have to do something. The Veda feels it has done its job, that you are Brahman. Here, what is the means here? What is the end here? The end is Brahman. The end is Brahman. I want to gain infinite. Brahman. That is called Brahman. Really, what do you want in life is Brahman. This is all Purushartha Nishchaya. We have to, Pariksha Lokan and all that, this we have to analyze our experiences, etc. Purushartha Nishchaya, I want Brahman. That much assume that we have done it. Then if you want Brahman, do you know what Veda says? You are Brahman. So it reveals the fact about yourself being Brahman and feels it has done its job. Legitimate. Here, there is no means, there is no end, really speaking. Only removal of ignorance of an accomplished fact. It is not revealing to be accomplished fact. It is revealing an accomplished fact. Understand? To be accomplished fact was told in the beginning. What was that? So if you perform this karma, you will get this result. That is to be accomplished fact. Both should be accomplished. Karma also is to be done by you. The result also is to be gained by you. And therefore, then you have to keep the fingers crossed. Hands folded, in fact. Hands folded, toes crossed. So they keep them. Then because anything might have gone wrong in my performing the karma. And therefore, if everything went well, I can expect the result. This is called, so that is means and end. To be accomplished. And when it talks about you want moksha? Yes, Purushartha. I want moksha. Then he says, You are Brahman. And Brahman is always liberated. Therefore, moksha is accomplished already by you. You have to know. Atmavid sokam sarati. Brahmavid param apnoti. Then therefore you have to know that you are Brahman. And it teaches what is Brahman. Therefore here the operation of the pramana is only to eliminate the ignorance of the fact of the self being Brahman. And the pramana operation itself is an end here. Whereas in karma kanda vishaya, in karma vishaya, pramana operation is not an end in itself. You have got to choose to do the karma. It's a catalog, jnana. Or a recipe book. How to make enchilada. Except the name, there is nothing interesting in it. Only the name. I use the word enchilada because it is mouthful. So, enchilada. I like that word, enchilada. How to make enchilada recipe. That is not going to give me enchilada. Or the weight that the enchilada will give me is not going. Enchilada, if you know, then you have to do. Difference. Difference. Therefore, the karma kanda of the Veda works like exactly what is enchilada. How to make enchilada. Means and ends. Whereas the other one, tells you are enchilada. the other one tells me it entirely differently. And therefore, so it is something like enchilada wants to become enchilada. And then it requires Vedanta. And it has to tell, Tattvam Asi. You are enchilada. E-N-C-H-A-L-D-A, enchilada. You are enchilada. Different. And therefore, the karma jnana yoho, there is difference, is like two different things altogether. We are not saying one is inferior, the other is superior. That is a silly thing. Because karma has what karma can do, jnanam cannot do at all. What jnanam can do, karma cannot do at all. Two entirely different spheres. Understand? And therefore, here there is no question of, Swamiji, should I take to karma yoga or should I take to jnana yoga? Hey, you get married, okay? You will be all right. This is a silly thing to talk. So, karma, they are two different things altogether. Spheres. Therefore, what you can accomplish by karma, jnana cannot accomplish. Even a jnani, if he has to eat, then definitely he has to do some karma. He can't accomplish that. Maito annam ahamasmi, ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. Therefore, so there, what can be accomplished by karma can be accomplished only by karma. But what can be accomplished by knowledge is accomplished by knowledge. Don't say one is inferior. When we are talking about different things, we shouldn't conclude one is inferior, other is superior, and this is our choice between the two. It's not this. Two different things altogether. There's no choice here. Therefore, karma kim param pavati. He asked a question. This karma, how it can be param? Param means parasya sadhanam ityartha. How karma becomes parasadhanam bhavati? How can karma be the means for param? Param means the limitless, Brahman. Because Brahman, param means limitless. Limitless cannot be karma, means karma phala. And karma cannot be the means for producing param. And another thing he tells, which is something very interesting. Karma tajjadam. Here, sutra like it is. Karma comes from whom? Karma, what is the immediate cause for karma? The immediate cause for karma phala. You know, the desire for karma phala. So the result in view is the cause for your doing karma. The result in view is called desire. So the desire is nothing but a result in view. And the result in view, if you say, then you have already determined the means also. A desire for the end. And also the means, that is what is called result in view. This is the hetu for doing karma. And therefore, keeping a result in view, you perform a karma. And therefore, we can call it as ichcha, desire. A desire, a raga or ichcha, is the cause for karma. Okay? Now, nobody can perform an action without that ichcha, without desire end in view. And therefore, that is a hetu. If anybody were to come and tell you that don't expect result of action, perform karma, which karma? For what? For what? So, we always keep in view the result and perform karma. Alright? Therefore, ichcha is the cause for karma. Ichcha, desire, comes from whom? Now we are talking about this jiva who wants to gain moksha. Understand? Who wants to gain moksha. And that jiva who wants to gain moksha is definitely someone who feels a lack. He feels a lack. It is not a desire born of fullness. It is a desire born of a lack. Therefore, a desire comes here for this person who is a moksharthi. Desire comes from a sense of incompleteness, lack. And a sense of lack is due to what? Sense of lack is due to what? Sense of lack is due to what? Lack of fullness. Lack of fullness is all the same. Lack of fullness is a sense of lack. So lack of fullness means what? Lack of fullness means what? You want fullness. You want fullness. By doing what? By doing what? You want, in other words, you want to be the whole. By doing what? By doing some nonsense. And so the whole, how are you going to become? Karma kim parambhavati. And therefore, the lack of fullness is due to ignorance alone. Ajnana. So ignorance is the cause for the lack of fullness, because you are fullness. Veda drishtya. From the vision of the Veda, you are Purna. And when you are Purnaha, Purushaha, you are complete, you are fullness, then ignorance of that fact makes you conclude that I am incomplete, I am a karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukkhi, samsari, and therefore aham samsari, the conclusion is due to ignorance alone. And therefore, now let us go. Ignorance is the cause for I am karta, samsari, karta. Who is the cause for desire? And the desire is the cause for action. Action is the cause for result. Therefore, the result is what? The result is great-grandchild of Mataji ignorance. Understand? So, ignorance born, I am incomplete, karta. Karta samsari. And then that is the sun. Karta is the, I am samsari is the sun. And samsari wants to become complete, and therefore he has a desire for a given end. Desire for a given end. And therefore desire for a given end, desire is the grandson. And the desire produces an action, great grandson. And the result is what? Great grandson. Understand now? Ajnanam is jadam. Jadam means ignorance. Ajnanam is jadam, ignorance. And so this tamas ityarthaha, ignorance alone. And ignorance is jadam. And the jadam means that ajnanam is called jadam. And what is born of ajnanam is what? It is what? The brood of ignorance. Now tell me, now will the brood of ignorance, will it destroy ignorance? Eh? What will destroy ignorance? Knowledge. Already a darkness is there, and you throw a piece of black cloth to remove the darkness, and a bucket of coal tar to improve the situation. What happens? This is like exactly what happens is like a kurukal in the temple. Already a black stone. Bhagavan is black stone there. And we invoke him, the black stone. And then with all this oil, etc., he becomes more black. And he has got a piece of cloth, which is also not an improvement. And then, and the place, of course, is darkness, supposed to be in darkness alone. And darkness. And then again, our friend who is doing that, he is also black. And he wears a piece of cloth specially kept for puja's sake. Because whenever he goes to puja room, he wears this. And when he comes out, he wears white. This is ena, oil. And therefore, he wears a special clothes also. That is also black. And there is no improvement at all. It's okay. Why? Because none of them is virodhi. None of them is virodhi. Virodhi means opposite. So for ignorance, what is virodhi? Not karma is not virodhi. Karma is not virodhi. Karma phala is not virodhi. Desire is not virodhi. And therefore ahankara is not virodhi. Karta is not virodhi. Because they are all ignorance manifest in various levels. Karma tajjadam. This jadam karma, which is a manifestation of jadam ajnanam alone, how that is going to be the means for param, Brahma? Therefore, you require what now? Jnanam. Therefore, what do you require? Not karma, you require pramanam. Understand? Jnanam you require, and for which you require pramanam, which is not karma doing. Knowing is not doing. Doing is not knowing. For knowing, if you are doing, you are undoing. Karma kim param, karma tajjadam. Tat karma jadam yat. Tat katham param bhavati, parasya sadhanam bhave ityartaha. How it would be the sadhana for param? What is jnana sadhyam? Jnanena sadhyate. Karmana sadhyate. Yat karmana sadhyate, karmanaiva sadhyate. Not jnanena sadhyate. This is the understanding. What is accomplished by knowledge is accomplished by knowledge. What is accomplished by karma is accomplished by karma. There is no condemnation of karma here. Understand? Your ears cannot see. Therefore, this fellow, he said, I don't want ears at all. See that? Eyes cannot hear. Next line, eyes cannot hear. I told one fellow, say, yeah, you are eating daily lunch and dinner and breakfast will not give you Sanskrit. And this fellow did not eat for 10 days. Then he comes to me, Swamiji, I didn't get Sanskrit at all. Then I asked him, why? Why? Because I've been trying. What are you trying? I stopped breakfast, dinner, lunch. I don't get Sanskrit at all. And who told you? By denying breakfast, etc., you'll get Sanskrit. So you told Swamiji. You said by breakfast, lunch and dinner you will not get Sanskrit. You told me. Enna puriyadha? Na edo sunna ivan edo solran. So what I told was entirely different. What I said, hey, come on, this itself will not give you. That doesn't mean you should give up this. Means as you are regular in this, you be regular in your homework. That's what I said. That's what I said. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.